All right, here we are tonight. Wrestling Philosophy Podcast with Coach Carlin Yetts of Columbus to Sales joining us. Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. Man, listen, you have quite a story to tell, and the word unique comes to mind, but to be honest, it's not a unique story. It's just a story that's not told often enough. And so I want to give you an opportunity to tell that story, start to finish, bring us up to even today. You told an incredible story just a minute ago before we started recording that really plays into your journey. So without further ado, let's just jump in from the beginning. What got you started in the sport of wrestling?
I come from a family of wrestlers, actually. My uncles, my brother, Danyasha, wrestled for Ohio State, multi-time state champion, Steubenville Big Red. My uncles, I had cousins wrestle for Ohio State. It's just in our blood. But I was one person who didn't want to do it. I had no drive to do it. Kind of living in the shadow of all my brothers. Three of them played football for Steubenville Big Red all at the same time. They were kind of the hometown boys and had their likeness on T-shirts and run Tubbo Run all over the place and stuff like that. So when I was asked, "Hey, are you going to be like your brothers?" I was like, "No, I'm going to be in the band." I wanted to have nothing to do with anything they were doing, just because they were doing their own thing. But eventually, after coming around, actually my first ever wrestling match, which I really don't kind of talk about this unless I really want a kid to feel good about themselves. But my first ever wrestling match was for youth wrestling, Steubenville Big Red. And, I went to the practices. I really wasn't into it again. I was just kind of just there because my brothers went to Steubenville Big Red. And they called me down to the mat. I went down there. The kid took me down. I went to my back. Ref called the pin. And I went, there's the 3 count. So I was on the wrong kind. It was the wrong kind of wrestling, stuff like that, and I just didn't do it again. I just, my mind just wasn't focused on there. I was focused on being a kid, and so years down the line, moved a couple places, came back home to Steubenville, went to Harding Middle School, my 8th grade year, and the coach there at the time was Joseph Yannock, and he actually coached my brothers when they were in middle school at Harding as well. And he was like, "Dude, are you coming out for wrestling?" It was after football season. I was like, "Nah, I'm not wrestling." And he was like, "What do you mean you're not wrestling? Like, you know who your brother is? Like, you know what your family has done here?" And I'm like, "I'm not wrestling." He was like, "Listen," he goes, "give me a week. And if you don't like it, you can quit. I won't bother you ever again about it," and everything like that. And so I said, "All right." And I mean, and Mr. Yannock, he was a very, very cool guy. He was just a funny guy, and this man asked me to jump off a bridge. I think about it, and then I look at him and I go, "Sure, I'll jump off the bridge for you." But I went out and things just clicked naturally. It was so amazing to be on the mat and just things click, and he's just looking at me like, "Dude, like, this is your sport." He goes, I don't know how you feel about football or whatever else. He goes, "But this is your sport." And that was my first year, my 8th grade year, and at Harding, and I ended up taking second at the time, but they had junior OVCs and everything like that. Steubenville's big rival at the time was East Liverpool, and it was kind of funny because they put. I remember this like it was yesterday. They put the East Liverpool A and East Liverpool B on opposite sides and said, well, they said they're going to meet in the finals. And I was like, oh, are they really? Okay. So I beat the East Liverpool B guy, and I met the A guy in the finals, and he ended up beating me. But it was stuff like that. Like, I love that challenge. I love that challenge that wrestling brings. So, I mean, once I got into it, it was just, it was full go. And, I said, Harding, it was fun. Mr. Yannock made it fun. He made it. He had a couple sayings. One saying that I still say to this day that he says, when I tell somebody something, I look at him and go, "Did I stutter?" And that's kind of my homage to him. Still, when I coach.